Okay, welcome. Thank you. So now we have to finish because of me, 3 minutes early. Audit and Finance Committee of the Indiana Area School District. It's November 25th, and we're going to start off with our budget item, Act 1 budget motion, December 3rd board agenda. Jared, you're up.
Yes, ma'am. Every year the board needs to pass a motion to either stay within the index or to prepare a preliminary budget. Our index for the 25-26 year is 5.2%, is what the max we could raise any tax to in the district.
What is it?
5.2%. Yeah, this upcoming year. Last year was 6.8.
That's a good sign.
Down to 5.2. Because we don't have any board turnover, we could on December 3rd pass that a motion not to exceed that if that's what the board wants. Or you could pass a motion to have me prepare a preliminary budget, which then we could be prepared to file for exceptions to go above that 5.2%. So it's really up to the direction of the committee or to the entire board which direction you want to go.
I think we do what we've done is not to exceed. Just do it right there.
And there are very few exceptions anymore that you can actually apply and get. I don't think it's really worth it.
Well, no, I've never known us to do it.
The real exception that used to be available was when PSERS, our retirement rate was going up by 4 or 5%. You could apply for exceptions there because it was at the time exceeding your Act 1 index, the increase. Well, that's not really the case anymore. I mean, last year it went down a little bit instead of going up, so we wouldn't even been able to file for that exception. So I don't even know which exceptions we'd even be eligible for, if any, at this point. So
Okay, I have no objection to set December 3rd.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think 5.2, right? I think that when we communicate it or in the board meeting, we just make sure that the news media doesn't say that, right, that we're
it's not setting the rate. It
right.
is
I think we
setting
should
the max.
just make sure that
Limit.
Perennial problem.
right, because coming off of last year's tax increase, obviously that would set people on fire.
Not again.
Yeah.
Doug,
Nope, not to exceed.
Sue, you have any comments on how good with them? Okay. Tom, I won't call on you because you just got in here, but
But I don't want to exceed that anyway.
so you're okay with December?
I
And
can
do
make,
we have any
I can
other,
make a snap decision on that.
do we have any other board members online here to talk?
Nope. Nobody else.
Next, Real Estate Tax Collector Commission needs voted on before February.
Yes, the real estate tax collectors will be running for re-election in the primary in May. So we as a board need to set that rate, or we as a district need to set that rate prior to February 15th so that anybody who wants to run knows what that rate is. If we do not vote on it by then, it is just set at the rate it is currently at, which
Thank you.
we, for all 4 of our tax collectors, pay $5.60 per tax bill is our current rate. I did a couple weeks ago send out a survey to the surrounding Indiana County districts, and I think I even sent it to Armstrong, just RIU itself, to collect that info, start collecting that information, because really I knew everybody was going to need to do it. We're not alone in that. I did get a couple responses. Right now, I can tell you Penn's Manor is paying $3.70 per tax bill to theirs. Purchase Line is paying $4.35. Homer Center pays 2 different rates. They really don't pay on a per tax bill. They pay basically a salary, but it works out to be $9.81 for Homer City Borough and $5.59 for Center Township. Those are the only ones that I have received so far at this point. So,
I don't know if Jeff Mack's going to run again.
He's not. I heard he's not.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if he is, and I'm not 100% sure.
I know that's a
Bill
busy
Lundstrom
office.
is running from the borough as well. So,
It's a busy office, a lot of people come in directly to pay their taxes. I think they earn
Yeah.
their commissions.
So- Jared, high level, we fall, when you take in Homer City, we fall like right in the middle somewhere.
we do. I think, I mean, We have not, the last 4-year cycle or that we're currently in, we did not give raises. We were at the $5.60. So we've been there for probably at this point, at least 6 years, 5-6 years. So I know they asked for them. I will certainly, they do a great job for us. I can't say that they don't.
But this isn't more than the last time.
They've been at 560 for, like I said, probably 5 or 6 years at this point. We are slightly above where the other ones are at. The other ones do make a little bit more money because they get per capita, which pays a little bit more. We don't do per capita. Indiana has not done per capita for probably before my time. So it's probably been 15, 20 years since Indiana's collected per capita.
I mean, what do they actually do beyond someone coming in, they stamping it market paid, or they get it in the mail market paid?
I mean, they have, when we come July, when our bills are printed, they have a busy couple weeks of getting them out, sorting through them, mailing them, and then it's collecting them and doing really a monthly reconciliation of what comes in. And then come December, when our penalty period is over, they would hand any leftover bills to collect over to the county, who ultimately collects our delinquent real estate taxes.
So then who else do they get paid by? They get paid by all the entities that they collect taxes for.
They would, yes, the townships. I mean, White Township doesn't collect real estate taxes, but the other ones would get paid. They would then do kind of the winter, spring bill, would be paid from the township and the county as well.
And who pays for the stamps? Is it like
We pay for the
we
stamps.
pay? Okay.
Yeah, they typically have everything in envelopes and sealed, maybe not even sealed, but we run it through our postage machine here.
So their expenses are basically labor, what they do.
Yes, anything we give them a small budget of basically office supplies, maybe a roll of stamps if they have something that comes in late or something that changes that needs.
Machinery,
Set in the
copiers,
mail.
computers.
We do give, like Indiana Borough has a history of, we've given that tax collector an extra $2,500 just to rent an office, is historically what it has been for. And then we have given the Shalocta Borough tax collector an extra $500 just to try and
To get
incentivize somebody to do that, because they're right. Last year, there was only 73 tax bills that went out in Shalocta Borough.
$5 a piece.
So even with the extra $500, the salary for Shalocta Borough is only $900. But again, it's 73 tax bills too.
So we don't give the township, Jeff Mack, anything extra. We give the borough extra.
We give the borough and Shalocta an adjustment, as I call it. Everybody else just gets the $5.60 per tax bill. So they did, I can tell you, and it's kind of starting to go back the other way, but after the reassessment, there was a lot of property owners who combined tax bills just because it was cheaper at the reassessment to possibly have land instead of its own separate partial tied to your house. So back then, the number of tax bills that we sent out did decrease. So ultimately, the tax collectors took a loss at that time. But we did, we gave them a raise back then as well. It's just the last 4 years.
They get audited, don't they? Yeah, they're audited. They have to be.
I mean, we do
don't.
an audit of their books as far
The
as
state can come in and do an audit.
I would imagine they could. I know our auditors also take a look at all their, not all their receipts, but take a look at their bank accounts and stuff like that to verify what's in them. But
Blairsville was getting audited year after year by the state, I remember, about a decade ago.
Yeah,
Every
I
year
mean,
they were in there.
we collect their monthly reports, we go through them, we reconcile them to make sure what we're getting is accurate.
I just
So,
find it odd that we pay the borough extra money for rental and we don't pay the township anything for rental, and township's probably a larger area.
Well, and that's true. I think the reason is because the township, they make so much more money on the township, on because he makes money
Well,
for,
he had.
Yeah, he has a lot more
employees, too.
people he has to deal with
He has
too.
one
yeah, but he makes more money at the township level. And so-
Well,
Well, I
I don't know,
get
he
it,
has
but
to
if
pay
it's-
somebody to work for him. He has to pay somebody to work for him.
No, I
He
understand
can't run that
that.
office just
I mean,
himself.
if it's a $5.60 set, so whether you're in the borough or the township, it's just the township has more people, so they're getting,
Yeah, I mean, there's $6,100, 61 tax bills that go out in the township and 3,400 that go out in the borough. So it's almost
6,100.
6,100 compared to 3,400.
Okay.
It's not a decision we need to make tonight. We
No,
will,
it's
it'll
not.
have to go on. I mean, we can talk about it again in January, but we will have to vote on it by the end of January
Okay.
so that
Anybody want
to meet the letter.
Chris, any questions?
No.
Just something for the board to consider over the next month.
I'll have to find, go ahead.
Okay, tell me again, what's in the township, what's the five, so it's 560, then what's the dollar amount the borough gets?
Same thing, they're 5.
They all get 560. The salaries are
That's what
different
it is.
based on the number of taxpayers.
There's 6,100 taxpayers.
Oh, so you're just taking 560
Times
times
6,100 times 3,400.
There's nothing extra.
No.
Okay.
So White Township last year, this current year is paid 34,000. Indiana Borough is 21,000. Armstrong is 9,400, and Shalocta is 900.
But they said we pay an extra 25,000 to the borough,
2,500.
2,500 to help
Oh.
with rental.
It was always considered an office rental, and that's been going on
Okay.
for
That's
many,
interesting.
many years.
I'll have to look at my notes. There was an issue last year. I forget what it was. We had an issue last year that somebody brought. I'll have to look at my notes. Okay, any other board members have a feeling about this one way or the other? We just wait for a while until we.
Yeah, we can talk again in January,
Yeah.
but we'll have to make the decision by January or the first board meeting in February.
Budget transfers.
This is just part of our, there's a page in your packet there, but this is just part of our audit closeout for the year where we have to, basically, the board summary report that breaks it down into major functions, as you'll see that 1,100, 1,200. That's not how I actually budget. I go into a lot more detail, but the state wants us to do transfers that result in none of these areas being overspent as far as the budget goes, as far as those individual lines go. So we transfer money in between different areas of the budget so that when we report in our audit report, no areas of the budget are overspent. We are underspent on the budget as a whole, so please don't, I'm not trying to say that we're moving money so it doesn't look like we overspent our budget. We're well under budget as to where we were. But our auditors in the state like us to make these transfers every year. It doesn't change the overall budget. It just moves money in between budget lines. And we have to get board approval to change the budget. So these will be on the agenda for December 3rd. And it's the last part of the audit that needs taken care of.
Didn't we've already passed the motion about what we're reserving into the other fund.
Yes,
Right.
we did that back in September,
That was what, 2/3, what was it,
300,000.
300,000.
Jared, so when I look at function 1,400 versus 2,200 versus 2,900, is that just the different job families within the school?
Yeah, like 1,400 is alternative ed, 1,500 is non-public, 1,800 is pre-K. The account code that all school districts use is broken up into 8 or 9 different sections. Each section is either 4, 3, 2 digits. It's very, I mean, we could sit down and talk about it sometime, and I could give you the 100-page manual that explains what all the different areas are. It took me years to be able to actually sit here and tell you what they all are, but and they're ever changing. There's new ones added when new funding comes in. And
Maybe next time we do coffee.
yes,
We'll get all these.
we'll need 2 cups for that.
Yes, we would.
But
It's a test afterwards.
No.
Jared was always bad with rote memorization, so wow.
Yeah.
my first day years ago when I sat down and first came to school business and looked at that, I was like, oh my God, like What is this? This is
Didn't
horrible.
teach this to you in college, did they?
No, government accounting didn't include the PA account code. But those will be on the agenda for December 3rd for approval.
Okay, questions? Confidential secretary stipend for, oh, yes, for the foundation work. Okay.
Yes. We, and if you want to cover that, Madam Vice President, or you
Well,
want me
we
to?
had, Chris was at the meeting, we had,
Yeah,
our foundation is going very well. In fact, our spaghetti dinner raised over $40,000.
Wow.
I think it's 20-something.
No, because we got I got a match. The match hasn't been put in the account yet.
Oh, is it? I thought it was 20.
Yeah, because I asked for a clarification.
Yeah, I thought he was giving us 27.
I'm pretty sure it's
but
20 something
she-
with the
Will you
match.
tell me?
I don't think the match
heard-
has been put into the account, but I thought the 27 counted, included the match already.
That's not, that wasn't my understanding, but perhaps I'm wrong. I thought it has to have been with the match. They made that much.
I thought
Enough
it made like $7,000 or $8,000,
Yes.
and then the person was going to triple the
Yeah, they
anonymous
gave us
donor.
20. Yeah, they gave us like $21,000.
Okay, well then I stand corrected, but I did double check that
Yeah.
because I was pretty sure what Brandy was saying was no.
I think on 2 events we've gone over $40,000
Mm-hmm.
on the first 2 events, is what she was probably saying.
Golf outing was like 12,
Wow.
It's,
but that included the 5,000 from the.
We had a nine. Yeah,
The
you
numbers
guys
are remarkable.
Chris got us a nice anonymous donation. We can't tell you who, but it's going very well.
Mhm.
And so one of the reasons we've done well is because, what's so funny?
Or
No, I was laughing at his anonymous symbol. But but Laura is a
Well,
driving
you
force.
and Jared and Laura have devoted a lot of time to this, but Laura's really hit the ball. I mean, she's been very effective and such a pleasant and person with donors, and has done us a newsletter that can go out to the alum clubs or classes. We have all kinds of things going on with starting to get into software for a database. We have some fun money to play with now, but we're also fun money to build up the operations. But what's nice is that we've developed an application in this first round for people to apply to the foundation for funds. And Ron Earhart's our board chair, and he's done a great job in leading us. But he says, we're not going to keep money. We'll grow money in an endowment for big gifts. But for everyday operations, he wants to give this money away. And he says, and I think what we've selected as a board was elementary teachers who need certain help, up to $500 a piece for supplies and whatnot, correct?
Yeah, there's a
Getting
variety
that
of people that
part
have asked. We've already given money to the dance team for transportation
That's
to
you.
their
We've given
national
money to the dance
competition. We've given money to someone else was reaching out to the fund. Who
we have
else?
some other ones looking at us
Yeah.
too, that have requested.
We're
We haven't
getting
decided
requests,
yet.
and we're going to get more.
I think the big, so Laura Cravens has been kind of the backbone. We all agreed that without Laura, the foundation wouldn't be where it is now, because she even created like the webpage that you log onto. In fact, if you guys could go do that, Indiana Foundation, go log into that, sign into Facebook, Instagram, and join it. And we all talked about like even the home farm barn when we did the fundraiser, the spaghetti dinner. Like Laura worked early in the morning till late at night continuously.
Yeah.
That's what we all kind of stood back, and as a group we volunteered, asked to raise $2,000 or to give $2,000 from the foundation. And then because she's also been doing work as well beyond, we looked to see if we could get $2,000 from us as well to give to her, so that she would get a combined amount of $4,000.
Because the idea is that the foundation will benefit the district.
Right.
100%.
And she's been terrific. I mean, I have to say, she won the grill at the,
She
and
did.
she almost wept. I could tell she was so excited. It
She
was
was
nice.
happy.
But it was both functions, and also she worked all day for that golf outing.
Oh,
Yeah.
Twice now we've tried to give her, under the current secretary's contract, we've been trying to give her comp time. She won't take it. You know what I mean? Like she says thank you, and I say I'm not asking, I'm telling you to take this comp time, and she
She's a hard
graciously
worker.
accepts it, but she won't use it. So
Good work.
she's a worker. Yeah, she's just a doer, and she wants to do it well. And she's so good. Like I'll come and say, hey, we should write a letter, and she'll be like this one. You know, like she's that kind of
She's
person.
on
You know what
top
I mean?
of it.
So
Mhm.
so she's
One
someone
step
we
ahead
want
of you.
to absolutely. So we want to invest in her. We want to make sure that she, you know, is compensated for her time one way or the other. She's that liaison between the two. You know,
So we would each put in 2,000.
yeah. If the foundation puts in 2,000, we put in $2,000 to give her a stipend. You know, that's what we're asking the board to consider right now.
I just worry about setting a precedence because we have a lot of employees that go above and beyond and put a lot of extra time in. And even in that Ask Me group right there, and are we setting a precedence?
She's not asking me. She's not, but yeah, but you're right.
But in that, well, yeah, same, in that bargaining unit. So is someone else going to come to line a lot here for this aspect of the district, go above and
I
beyond?
hope so.
No, I know that.
I don't
I
mind
mean,
that.
I agree. We talked about the same thing. So
we have a lot that put in a lot
go
of
above
extra
and beyond all the
time.
time. Yeah, absolutely. You know,
And just to
this is-
single out one person right now, I don't know if that's setting a good precedent.
Is this not like kind of extra duty, extra pay then?
it kind of is, but it doesn't exist for for that group. There is no such thing. So we've been trying to compensate her for comp time, but she won't take the comp time, and it's just. And when Ron asked me about it, it seemed like a nice solution where we share the cost, so it's not a burden to and both organizations benefit. And then
Amount of time she's been given has been astronomical.
you
to the
take those
cause.
two events alone, she probably put in 15 extra hours, maybe.
And the website
You know,
going. That's
maybe-
been
Oh,
cool.
yeah. She spent numerous hours with the website.
Days.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that she's putting in the time. And that's cool. We're trying to figure out a way to
So the
compensate for that time.
Greater
also.
Alleghenies, they keep 1%, correct? They keep one,
It's-
Oh,
It's like 1/10%.
1/10%, as they
Yes.
keep for their expenses.
that's correct.
Out of what we raised. That's the balance.
Yeah, out of
That's the balance.
It-
She's also been working very closely, leading the
Just
charge
1.5
with
times.
one of our board members to,
0.5%.
one of our board members on the foundation to start our own 501c3 and
Yeah, we're eventually going to break away from it.
We're not gonna keep
Okay.
paying them.
I just didn't know if there was a way that you could even up that, if we had any leadway with those internal fees to be able to pay.
There is eventually, like there's in the bylaws that the foundation has adopted, there is a way to compensate employees if we ever get to that place where we have that kind of money. I think right now what they're asking for is we work with them to make sure that we keep this momentum going forward until we can get there eventually, and then the foundation will employ whoever they want to employ to do those things down the road.
Now, the Alleghenies though is filing a bunch of paperwork for us, and at the beginning, at the starting of this, it's real cheap to bring them in and have them keep us legal for less.
Mhm.
When
Correct.
we get it, when we expand it, maybe.
Yeah, the
we
501,
consider.
yeah, the 501c3 is established. We have to have it for a year till we can really make a
We just got
pay
it.
dividends on it. We just got it.
Mhm.
So we're probably at least a year away. But if we keep the same progress on these events, next year this time maybe we're talking about how we just eclipsed 100,000 or we just eclipsed 200,000 or something, and then
We've exceeded our budget that we thought we were gonna raise.
correct, and then we have a different conversation. But for now, we thought it was a nice compromise between us and the foundation to make sure that she's compensated for her time, and because it's just different with her than it is the
Well,
rest of us.
I have no problem with it. We're either gonna abstain on the, either the board side, well, either board side, I'm not sure which, but I think we have to abstain on
Yeah, you
that.
guys probably should
Yeah.
stay.
I don't think it's necessary to abstain from both, but I certainly think, you were gonna say something.
No, I'm good.
Also, we have several other fundraisers coming up. This one, in the spring, a fun run on May 17th, and there's another one that Sean Moran is planning. I can't remember what the heck. that
Hall
was.
of Fame, that's
Hall
a
of
year
Fame.
away still.
Yeah.
We're doing the Battle of Faculties though. The faculty stepped up and they have each school has dedicated a team like they used to kind of get into a fundraising competition with each other, as well as a culminating event where they go and do silly games in front of the kids and have fun and hopefully don't hurt anybody. But it's apparently it was a big hit before my time, and they brought it back in honor of this foundation. So the teachers are getting behind it. The community's getting behind it. It's set in the right direction. So, but it's a boatload of work, and we don't have anyone right now to really do that work.
And
So
I don't know if, go ahead.
What's happened on May 17th?
There's a 5K.
It's a 5K fun run, but it could,
5K.
yeah, you can walk or run it. It's gonna be sponsored by Gingerbread, right?
Mhm.
So it'll be nice, but there's another, I don't have the other date on the tip of my tongue for Sean Moran, and then we have,
We're looking,
One
are you
other.
talking about the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
yeah, but there was,
That's,
yeah.
that's going to be next year. So Sean Moran and I are co-chairing Hall of Fame. So we're restarting up the Hall of Fame. We used to have a Wall of Fame. We still do,
Senior high.
but at senior high, but we're looking at meshing it into the foundation. So we can start recognizing people within the school district that have done great things and bring it back out again. We thought that it could be kind of our marquee fundraiser, where we bring money in from the outside, get sponsorships for it. The people that are being nominated, and obviously, turn in to their companies as well and asking, not making it mandatory. But but we're in the planning stages. I just talked to North Allegheny today. And I talked to the athletic director who shared with me the Sports Hall of Fame. And then he put me in touch with a lady there that also runs the Hall of Fame. Because it's not just going to be sports, it's going to be academia, it's going to be.
That's what I was gonna talk to you after this, because I know the one week, Meet a Week group at the high school is taking over now, the Wall of Fame that
Mhm.
for a couple of years there hasn't done anything, so they're gonna take it over again. And I know there's community alumni that are on that committee as well.
We'll talk. Wade
Yeah,
put
and
us in touch with Matt Neal to kind
Well,
of
that's
talk.
why I told him I'd talk to you after.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
So we probably should kind of mesh it together so that because if you have too many Hall of Fames going on, people get kind of lost.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this one's been in existence, so we'll see what we can do to.
Well, I think we can blend them together.
We
It
had
doesn't
a
mean that
winter fundraiser
just because
we were
one's been in
working on.
existence,
No,
that
I-
you
Give it all
supersede.
guys.
Yeah.
We're doing
Yeah.
But you,
a
because there's
concert
bylaws
event
already and
at
see what they.
Oh, that's
at
right.
the
Yeah.
theater, but the theater couldn't do it, so we canceled.
And then also for us two other things that I have to say about it. You can go onto the IASD website, go up to the top on that bar at the top, and where it says IASD Foundation, you can donate right there.
Mhm.
Or you can look at the calendar of events. A lot of people bought tickets for the spaghetti dinner through our
Mhm.
website, so that was nice,
Absolutely.
yeah. So it's worked well, that software has worked well. The other thing is, we're sort of identifying how we can create partnerships, and we're gonna have some ideas coming forward with the boosters. So that's being worked on right now, and eventually we're gonna have a report on that, but not right now. We still have more to flesh out, but trying to work ways to partnership so that when people are using our name and our logo and whatnot to raise money independently, we can sort of work out ways that it could be a win-win for both the foundation and and distributed more evenly among teams that have less or teams that have more. Some of the boosters don't raise much money at all, but that doesn't make their sports any less important or less fun. So that's what I have to say about it. So would you put together, I think we're okay with putting a motion together, Jared, that you were talking about.
I can go on the
Are there any
agenda.
severe objections to it? So everybody can vote the way they want. Okay, so that's the foundation. Here's my favorite one, the debt management policy.
During our last bond issue back in the fall here, one of the questions that was asked was, do we have a debt management policy? For which I said, no, we don't have a formal board-approved debt management policy. Didn't affect anything with the financing or anything. But it did just make me think, do we need to have something in place? So in the future, if we do another borrowing at some point or refinancing, that I can answer that question and say, yes, we do. So Anise and I worked to pull out some and look at other districts, PSBA recommendations as to what a debt management policy could look like. So if that's what you have in front of you, is just an example of kind of a common one that we found PSBA uses and other districts. We can certainly add to or change anything that's on here that the board would like to see.
So we need everybody to read this over. You might not have had time to read it over. It's very important, I think. One of the things that I've asked to be added in, because I saw it, I read it pretty carefully. It's good as far as it goes. You know, it's what's in it now is boilerplate, but it can be tweaked. I think it's important for this district to go over at least annually our credit rating, which we don't often talk about. What is our credit rating and the ways and enable the public and the board to ask questions about what goes into the credit rating and why we're not a AAA versus a B or whatever we are, to talk about that and what we might be able to do to improve that if necessary. The other thing is I do feel as though, what was the other one I said?
Put a budget budget projections under the financing.
Well, I
scenario.
think that there's a difference between financing scenarios in that second paragraph on the back.
Mhm.
I think there's a big difference between scenarios and budget projections. In the financial world, scenarios are kind of, okay, this is what we're giving you, but budget projections are based, it can be, like Jared has done them in the past for us, interactive, where you can plug in variables yourself and see what happens to long-term debt, short-term debt, whatever. So if you're going to borrow money, I'm trying to think in the not-for-profit world, if you want to do a bond issuance and you want to look at, you're never sure what the rate's going to be, you can plug in different scenarios at different amounts. And I think it's a tool that our district should use as a policy.
So the responsibility of the financing team shall be to develop financing scenarios and budget projections.
And budget projections,
Along with associated
because they're
costs. of borrowing.
distinguishable.
And then you want to add a bullet that says that the board will have an annual review of credit rating and,
Yeah, and not just Jamie's grading. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a full-fledged discussion, even, and then the debt ratio would come into that. So that's Jamie's report.
Julia, would having that discussion about the financial debt health of the district, would that be something we would want to do at the conclusion of our audit report?
Yeah, I think so. That's when I would do it. I would do it in January. I get everybody set up for the new year, but there is a lot of people that I've sort of noticed on the board are not real clear about what our leverage ratio is. So a bond guy's going to come in and say, yeah, if you want to borrow 120 million, sure. They're going to tell us yes. I mean, they're not going to blame us 200 million, but they're going to talk to us. It'll be a tough discussion. Depends how much you want to pay for it. It depends how long you want to go out. It depends if it's front loaded or back loaded. That's the way that works. And I think that the first person that I've seen be able to come up with a leverage ratio is Our Lady of the Audit. And they've got so many districts that she audits every year. And she's able to see where we are relative from revenues in relationship to net revenues in relationship to debt. And we've been in a good spot on we're not at half, we're slightly lower than half on that. And so you want to watch that. That's how
Not
we
being
measure
financially
ourselves.
minded, that chart was very helpful.
Yeah. I mean, it was like, wow, somebody did this. Now we could have Jared look up more districts and let more of our do it. She's not doing it by same size or pupil size or whatever, or total assets. She's just doing the ones she represents. Some are smaller and some are larger. Most are not larger. So we could look at the state could probably tell us every district in the state that has 2,000, 3,000 students and has anywhere between $55 and $65 million in total assets. Let's find out where they are with their debt loads. Gives us some idea of how to target this, and it helps us with tax raises too, or tax hikes.
so do you want us to take this to policy and personnel with those changes?
But I think there should be a time for the whole board to digest it and see what they think. And there was another thing in that debt policy that Jamie brought forward that I questioned last year. And it was something in that policy that she presented us that we absolutely have nothing about. And I can't remember. I'll have to go back and look. Because we don't have it. I remember that. Do you remember, Jim, what that might have been?
I'm trying to think about that.
Oh,
I'll look back to it.
It was the cap ratio or something. And it was just I'm like, oh, we don't do that. So I think there's a way that we can insist that at least once a year, the board really takes some time to look at this stuff and try to understand it.
Well, it dovetails with what we're going to talk about later, setting goals for the district as far as academically and board goals. This should be included right along with that. And it makes sense after the audit to, all right, this is what we budgeted, this is what we did, this is how fiscally responsible we were.
It could also impact the timing of the next building renovation.
Oh, yeah.
Because in order to, if some of those numbers are key indicators, we may want to delay a year or two to allow those numbers to settle back down.
Which is essentially what we've done for the last several years, is we have been careful with what we're borrowing.
It could be a
So we can sort of,
box in the matrix as well as far as our capital projects, how does this impact, our credit, just the general budgeting that we're gonna do.
well, see, it can affect your credit rating, I think. I mean, in the long term, it does.
Eventually it will, yeah.
Yeah. And we don't have, we have an A rating, correct? Or an A minus?
I have to double check where it was that last time in the
It's
fall.
an A minus. So, I mean, we have some room to go, where we can get a little bit better. I mean, I'd like to see us at a AA rating. Now, I know that's a hard lift for us. And what does that mean in terms of all the programs that we offer?
The base rating, Julie, but it's my understanding that you can also essentially buy insurance that will raise that rating to whatever that degree is.
Maybe that's right. Yeah, I think you're right, but
So then we'll put on there that the board will hold an annual review of credit rating and full
efficiency
discussion
ratio,
about
leverage ratios, which also gets you into an efficiency ratio. But I'm going to look up that other thing and I'll suggest that. So please read it carefully and see what you think. If it's the first time you're really looking at one, which it is for us, you think, okay, sounds good.
We were rated A back in September.
Okay.
And what does it take to get to the next grade?
Well, it's going to be one of several things. There's only so many pieces in this puzzle, but certainly one of them is leverage. One of them is our efficiency ratio. One of, it's difficult for a not-for-profit because it's not all about test scores. But we have to make sure that the programs that we have are working because we're investing a lot. So it certainly could look at realignment of the balance sheet a little bit, so there's all kinds of things you can learn about how you want to invest. And that's why I've been insisting that we have a sensible deferred maintenance approach, that we just don't jump in, that we figure out where it sits on the financing metrics and whether or not, now Rob started to do this on this thing that Sally and Tom are so interested in, this childhood development. I mean, they nailed it down for us. So is it really going to cost us $170,000 or whatever that number was? Is it really? Because if we play it right, we're going to be able to pay for that. Now, it's like ESCO. It's not going to pay for it in 5 years, but it should produce the fees from the ICTC, even though we pay into it, you have to take that into account. It should reduce our overall investment costs.
So that's how that would get raised to a higher.
It's possible.
That's one
It's part of
factor
the
that-
equation.
Most districts, Jared, correct me, you don't see many districts above an A.
Oh, there's some.
There's very few. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
more than you
Sue,
think.
some of the other things that will impact it is how much debt do you have? How much debt do you have as a ratio of your revenue? When the timing of that debt is. So if you had $30 million that was going to expire in the next 5 years, or that would be paid off in the next 5 years, that's different than having that $30 million that's 10 years out. Okay, because there's less risk at that point in time. So all of those factors play into that, how those ratings are established.
And when you're trying to understand it, what you have to do is try to adapt it, not metaphorically, but compare it to your own home budget with your mortgages, what you have, how you do it. Because when it comes time to borrow money to build that new house, it's a stretch for you. Boy, you're going to think about this stuff. My cash flow, when's it coming due? Can I make that payment? Banks now force you to escrow your taxes. How many of our people escrow their taxes? That's a big factor for a school
And
district.
insurances in the south. We had escrow
Flood
insurance.
insurance, all that stuff. You have to, and a lot of it puts stress on, well, I'm also paying off the car that month. So you look at it, what makes it, how can I finance it? And that's what we're trying to figure out with this, is how do you finance this district without taking too many risks? That's my take.
We can add that.
All right, so anything else on that? I'm lecturing on.
The only other, and the budget timeline, that's just something, a placeholder I've been keeping on here for meetings. We talked about it at a previous audit and finance, but at the request of some board members, Randy has done some research on expanding Wi-Fi and Wi-Fi capability in the gymnasium. So right now, the gymnasium, the new gym at the high school. So I know Randy's connected here for about $5,000, a one-time fee. He came up with a solution working with Link Computer, and I'll let him kind of go into detail on what that would do. So.
Yeah, this is basically just expanding the Wi-Fi access in the new gym. So during events, we'll have public Wi-Fi available like you would at restaurants and different things like that. And every phone service, AT&T, Verizon, has a wireless calling feature. Sometimes it needs to be turned on. Sometimes it's automatically turned on. I think Verizon calls it HD. HD phone service, but it lets you, when there's no cell phone signal, it lets you use Wi-Fi internet to make phone calls and texts and all those kinds of things. So over the past, I guess a little bit over last school year, we've had some concerns about safety in the gym and them not being able to use their cell phones and things like this. So extending the cell phone signal into areas like that can be troublesome and not real effective, especially with the number of people that we would potentially have to have on it. So we kind of just went with the public Wi-Fi route, which helps us immensely for the state testing and different things like that, because we've been doing that in the gym. So the access points that we'll be using can handle what I forget what it seats, like 800 some people potentially if it's completely full. So it's easily expandable, and if it works, we could, since the new gym is the biggest one that we have, we could replicate this in other big areas like that, like the gym in the new Eisenhower, things like that.
Randy, is this a system that you can turn on and off at will?
Yes, and like during the day, we would not have public Wi-Fi access when the kids were there. It would automatically turn itself on at, say, 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening and run till the event is over, or we can have it on the weekends, or as long as I know, I would have it on for the event. But it can be, the public Wi-Fi will be scheduled to be on and off. It will not be on during the day, where kids can just kind of go down and jump on and kind of essentially, not have to use their Chromebooks and different things like that. But it will also be during the day, be able to use academically. It's the same company that we use in all our classrooms. So it's a Cisco Meraki, and the same Wi-Fi network will be broadcast during the day that lets them connect with their Chromebooks and things like that. It will only be public Wi-Fi during sporting events or after-hour events.
Doesn't that contradict the one stated goal we had as far as having Wi-Fi accessibility in the event of an emergency? If we don't have it on during the day, when, if anything's going to happen, that's when it's going to happen.
Well, there's two schools of thought there that we haven't really settled on. One is that, we need to have Wi-Fi for everybody, so that if the case of emergency, people can get out. Now, all the teachers can get on the teacher BYOD network. So if they sign in, all the teachers should have Wi-Fi access. The problem is the students. Do we want students to have unlimited access? When we look at it from the emergency perspective, maybe. When you look at it from the academic perspective, absolutely not. So it's kind of, we're in a bad spot here where, we have to.
So it can be turned on. Go ahead. How are you?
No.
It can be turned on then, like every day, Randy, at 2:40, just automatically come on at 2:40 every day.
Yep. The public Wi-Fi can be automatically turned on whenever we decide. Like if 2:40 is what we kind of decide, because the kids kind of get out at 2:30, then yes, it can be turned on
Or
Um,
whatever, I was looking
Yep.
at junior high's 240, whenever the dismissal is, make it just automatically turns on, because I just know how bad, I mean, we have opposing teams coming in for functions and they can't use software or get on their,
Well, we actually already do have a coach's Wi-Fi that's actually automatically turned on that way. Mr. Rohn has the password for that, and he does give that to coaches to the opposing team and their staff, so they can get on during the event. So what we're doing here is we need these devices to expand that capability for fans and different things like that.
yeah, because on Saturday there were scrimmages at the high school, basketball scrimmages, and as referees, we did it as an instructional scrimmage, and we we're trying to do some things in our website that we have, we can use for various things with referees, and we couldn't even get on it.
It was there. I feel I'm sure maybe you didn't know the password, but it was on. So we already have that capability is already going on for those type of purposes.
So this new one will require no password. It'll just work.
Well, yes. We'll probably use some kind of QR code that we'll hang like posters in the hallway. You know how you can kind of scan your QR code and take it. There we'll probably have some sort of not necessarily a password, but some sort of disclaimer before you get on the network to say, hey, you're using our Wi-Fi. But please be good on it. It's like anything. Like when you're at a hotel saying, a disclaimer saying you need to use this in the appropriate way and all that kind of stuff.
Well, Rob,
And by clicking yes, you agree to these terms. Not necessarily a password, but just kind of like a landing page before it lets you on.
well, Rob, to your question, that there's a couple of different schools of thought.
Mhm.
I'm not so sure, and one of the things I was hoping the board would do this coming year would be at the academic committee, talk about that idea of, what is our policy for cell phone use and the impacts that it has on the academic performance of the students. And I don't think we've had that
No, we haven't
discussion.
dug deep. No.
And I think we need to have that this coming year too, because it is becoming more and more of an issue.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that think that the cell phone use is precipitating a lot of this mental health issues. So and again, one school of thought, that's really the parents' job. On the other hand, if the school can limit it, do we have a responsibility to do so? So I think it's something we have to talk about. And then, but for this conversation though, we're talking about, do we want to?
I was just going to say, we're just talking about getting it or not. We can do the fine tuning as far
later.
as
Yep.
the talk with the education committee, see what they think.
Yep. 100%.
Or academic committee, I'm sorry.
For $5,000.
I know.
Makes sense to me.
Randy, great.
It seems
work
like a
here.
win-win. Great job,
Yeah.
Randy, in my opinion, to find this solution,
Yeah.
because this was a challenge a year
Randy,
ago.
this is great.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Amazing
much.
work.
I'm kind of happy where the pricing came in with this, because we looked at extending like the cell phone signal in,
Right.
which can be problematic, and that equipment was pretty expensive. So yeah, I'm happy where the prices came in on this stuff.
Yes, good job.
now we just have to get cell service in the center rooms of the high school. That's a
Well,
safety issue.
Again, that's the same concept. If you use our teacher BYOD,
No
you
cell
can.
service. There's no cell service in the center rooms at the high
Even
school.
on the teacher BYOD?
Yes.
So if there's.
Well, we're not talking about cell service here.
No. I just said now our next step will be to figure out how we can get service in those middle classrooms.
Well, if they use the teacher BYOD, they don't need cell service. So that's kind of what I'm talking about here. When you're on or bring your own device to teacher BYOD, you will be able to use the Wi-Fi calling on your phone, and you can make phone calls and send texts and all that kind of stuff. So when this works out, I mean, we already have a network in place that will supply that to them. I know a lot of our teachers don't like to use the teacher BYOD, and if we need to make it better and they're having issues with it, then I need to know. But we do have a lot of people that do use it, and you can use HD and Wi-Fi calling on it.
Okay.
Randy, thank you very much. I know we're cutting you short here,
Oh,
but
that's okay.
we want to go with the 5,000. I hear no objections, correct?
Right,
No,
correct.
I think that's good.
Okay, so good of the order. Sally, good of the order. You have anything to
Yep,
say?
great.
Stand adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks.